So I was teaching today and my student was expressing confusion about the moon card in depth. And she said, it doesn't really speak to me. I kind of understand it in theory, but it doesn't really resonate with me. So I'd like to do some work on that. And it was such an interesting conversation. I wanted to share it with you because it's important. It's important when we want to understand tarot, but also it's important in life because this is a really, really interesting way of looking at fear and how we deal with fear and anxiety. So tarot gives us all of this information, which is amazing. So the moon card, in its most basic premise, refers to fear, anxiety, low mood, and the inability to see clearly, okay? It's the moon, everything's in half light, shadow, we're just not sure what's going on. We don't know what's in there, and that's fundamental. So the moon is referring to our subconscious, to our shadow self, and the dark that's in our subconscious. Now, when we go back to the High Priestess, we can see a light pillar and a dark pillar, and it tells us that we're supported by both the light and the dark of us. And we always think of the High Priestess as being all about our intuition. Well, it's about far more than that. What's in the basement is unbelievably powerful and will call the shots in most situations. So what's in our subconscious is going to bubble up when we least expect it. So the moon is talking about that. It's talking about that subconscious dark and why it controls us to such an enormous extent. I want to show you the moon in the context of the life code matrix. And the matrix is the Major Arcana without the Fool and the Magician, because they're the characters. The Major Arcana set out in 4 rows of 5, starting with the High Priestess. So the moon sits in the bottom row and it's the second one in. And above the moon, you will find death. And that's your first answer. Because if we want to understand our fear, we need to know where it's coming from. And it's coming from fear of death. Now that sounds melodramatic, doesn't it? But it's true. Now, what's going on with all of this in that dark part of our brain, our dark part of our subconscious? We are being triggered to have a survival instinct at play. And that's coming from a really ancient part of our brain, which is traditionally known as the lizard brain. Now look, the lizard brain is just a name. You do not have a lizard brain at the back of you. What it means is the sort of primal part of you that doesn't reason very easily. It's there for survival. Now, of course, the brain is a very intricate system. It doesn't exist all on its own, but it does feel like that. If we imagine that part of our brain sitting there in the dark, it can't see. And so all it can do is kind of sense and feel. And so when it feels danger or it feels an environment in which it can't control or it can't read, it goes into, okay, danger mode. Now this can come up whenever it doesn't have a picture because it can't actually see the world. It's working on projection all the time. And when it doesn't have a projection that looks positive, it will create one that looks super negative. And it will call it real because what it doesn't want you to do is to get hurt. So why is getting hurt so fear-inducing? Because in the ancient primeval history of humanity, if you got hurt or you were isolated or you were injured or you bled, your life was in danger. Pain equals danger. Our brain doesn't tell the difference between genuine danger in the world and emotional pain, which it reads in exactly the same way as if you were going to get mortally injured. It's just a very complex thing. It simplifies it down and it calls it dread. So here's the thing. When we are looking at the death card, we're looking at fear of loss of life. And let's look at that. It's not just our life as in we're going to die. It's our life. It's a partner. It's a job. It's a thing in our life that we want to continue because we understand it and we can plot a course through it, and either we like it or at least it's our life. When we see the loss of that, we panic. Why? Because we don't know what's on the other side of it. Why are we afraid of death? Because we don't know what's on the other side of it. We don't want to let go of what we've got. We don't want to die because we haven't got all that much faith in what's over there. Maybe it's better. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's nothing. We don't know. And that holds sway for every aspect of our life. And that's why death is called death in tarot, because it's the loss of life and the loss of meaning, life with meaning to us. So when we're faced with that, we get very upset indeed, and we get very, very scared because we think we're going to die in some figurative sense. So what is the next card up? The next card up is strength, and this tells us that we have to endure it. No one's going to escape death. No one's going to escape change. No one is going to escape endings. We have to have the strength to endure through it, to withstand the discomfort of it, whether we're going to die or whether we're going to lose a relationship or whether we're going to lose a job. We are going to have to endure. We're not going to die, really. And you could say that even in death, we're not going to die. We just don't know what's next. And that's the problem. So we have to use strength, and we have to say, okay, I'm going to be in alignment with that I want. What do I want? I want to live. I want a life that makes me happy. I want meaning. So we have to be strong in alignment with that. How do we do that? What gives us the strength to do that? So we go up one more and we get to the Empress. And the Empress is the place from which all this is powered. Because the Empress is the font of new life. She is the womb, if you like, from which we can be born again. We can be born into new life. She's the creative hub. She's the hub of unconditional love. She tells us there is no limit to love in the world. There is no limit to the amount of times you can be reborn. There is no limit to the amount of wonderful life that you can create if you wish to. And you just have to work with her, and she will nurture you through the pain. She will nurture you, and she will enable you to be reborn again. And then you can start the whole thing again and make it better next time. This is what tarot tells us. So these cards, these 4 cards, are like a recipe for us to deal with fear. So when we're afraid, we have to know what it is we're afraid of. We have to know what's triggering the fear. Lack of faith in something happening on the other side of whatever, something good happening on the other side of whatever it is we're afraid of. Let's just take this and run it to, just say you're afraid of public speaking. You would say, well, how has death got anything to do with that? So, okay, so I'm afraid of public speaking and I've got to go up on that stage. I've got to, oh my God, I'm freezing at the mere thought of it. When I go up on that stage, I'm going to die. I'm going to cease to function. My words are going to stop. I'm probably not going to be able to see straight. I'm not going to be able to remember anything. And then when I come off, I would have lost all faith. I would have lost myself in the process. Perhaps I will have lost my dignity. All of that is starting to pile in as death. In comedy, we talk about dying. We talk about having to go on stage and die. Give it up. You've got to die. Without going through it, you will never find out that you don't die. Actually, you get better. And that's the point. When we're scared of anything, take it back to the death card and ask yourself, what is it that you are so afraid of losing? What life are you frightened is going to end? When anxiety that can't be quite placed but felt is in play, we must go back to what the fear is actually about. because that's going into the moon and that's going into our subconscious, figuring out what's down in there, what's in the dark, what is the picture. And when we do that, then we can then come up to the next two cards and we can endure, because we can connect back to the Empress and all that the Empress offers us in terms of regeneration, rebirth, unconditional love, creativity in life, and the ability to mother ourselves back to a new existence. So whether we're looking at this through the eyes of tarot, or whether we're looking at it just as a mechanism to help us navigate through really difficult circumstances, I think this is an incredibly powerful sort of set of metaphors for that. I wanted to talk about it because I think it's really important. Also, it's in my new book, which is Tarot, the Life Code, A Fool, a Magician, and the Secret of Life. So the matrix is in there and all of these systems are in there, and it's all detailed. So if you would like to discover more about this, you can talk to me. You can buy the book. It's available for advance order at the moment at a slight discount. Please go ahead and buy it. But really, this is about communicating this in a way that I think and hope will be really useful and interesting. Thank you very much. Do like and subscribe to the channel and check out what else I've got. I've got lots of good stuff about tarot, and I'm going to be doing more stuff about what's in the book over the coming weeks and months. Thank you then. Bye bye for now.